Have you ever heard a story so unbelievable, so outrageous, that it feels like it had to be a fiction? A story where the world's most powerful investors, billionaires, and even the US military officials were fooled, all by a college dropout with a deep voice and a promise to change medicine forever. This is the story of Elizabeth Holmes, the woman who once billed as the next Steve Jobs, who became one of the biggest con artists in Silicon Valley history. Elizabeth Holmes was born in Washington, D.C. in 1984. From an early age, she was ambitious, some say relentlessly so. A family bold story of how she wanted to be a billionaire before she was even a teenager. She admired investors like Thomas Edison, and she believed she was destined for great. At 19 years of age, Holmes dropped out of Stanford University. She claimed she had a vision, a dream of creating a device that would run hundreds of medical tests from just a single drop of blood. Think about it. No needles, no virus, no pain. Just a finger prick, and in minutes, you'd know if you had cancer, diabetes, or even heart diseases. If true, it would revolutionize medicine forever. It would save lives, and it would make Elizabeth one of the most powerful women in the world. She called the company Theranos. Elizabeth carefully crafted her image. She lowered her voice to sound more authoritative. She wore black turtlenecks, copying the style of her idol, Steve Jobs. She spoke in grand, almost hypnotic speeches about changing the world, and the world believed her. Investors poured in hundreds of millions of dollars. Famous figures like Henry Kissinger, George Shultz, and Rupert Murdoch. At its peak, Theranos was valued at $9 billion. And Holmes herself, she was the youngest self-made female billionaire in history. But behind the closed door of her Silicon Valley labs, there was a secret that would one day destroy her empire. Because this technology didn't work, not even close, Theranos employees began noticing the issues, the lies. Machines that were supposed to perform hundreds of tests could barely run one. Instead of using the so-called Edison device, Theranos was secretly using traditional blood testing machines brought from other companies. But Holmes was a master in manipulation. Employees who questioned her were threatened. Many were forced to sign strict non-disclosures agreements. Some were even spied on. The work culture was described as a culture of fear. One employee said, "It felt like working in North Korea." Yes, North Korea. But to the outside world, Elizabeth kept up the act. She appeared in magazine covers. She spoke at conferences. She promised the world a revolution, even as patient lives were being put at risk by faulty results. She kept the lies going. In 2015, a journalist named John Carreyrou from the Wall Street Journal began investigating Theranos. Sources whispered to him that something was wrong, that the miracle machine was nothing but smoke and mirrors. Holmes tried to shut him down. She hired lawyers, threatened lawsuits, and continued to smile for the cameras. But the truth was unstoppable. The journalist bombshells reports exposed the deception. The public was stunned. How could so many smart people, investors, doctors, politicians have been fooled? Even the US government. The answer was simple. They wanted to believe. They wanted Holmes to be real. And she used that hope as a greatest weapon. Once the truth came out, Theranos unraveled fast. Partnerships with Walgreens and Safeway collapsed. The US government began investigating. Patients sued. Investors demanded answers. Holmes and a partner, Sunny Balwai, were charged with massive fraud. The company that was once promised to save millions of lives was exposed as one of the biggest scams in medical history. Theranos shut down. Its billions in value vanished overnight. Elizabeth went through a lot of disgrace, and she was described as a con artist. She went from tech visionary to a disgraced con artist. In 2021, Holmes began a trial. The world watched as prosecutors revealed just how deep the lies went. Emails, lab reports, testimonies from investigators, and they were all painting Holmes as a woman who chose deception over truth. Her defense argued she was simply naive, that she truly believed in her vision, that she was manipulated by a partner, Balwani, but the jury saw through it. In January of 2022, Elizabeth Holmes was found guilty on multiple counts of fraud. And in November of that same year, she was sentenced to over 11 years in federal prison. The once celebrated genius ended up behind bars. Elizabeth Holmes fooled some of the most powerful people on earth. She built $1 billion empire on lies. And for years, she got away with it. Why? Because people wanted to believe in a hero. They wanted the fairy tale. They wanted the dream of a young woman revolutionizing medicine. But dreams without truth become nightmares. The Theranos scandal is a reminder that innovation without honesty is nothing but fraud in disguise. Elizabeth Holmes once said, "First, they think you crazy. Then they fight you. Then you change the world." But she didn't change the world. She deceived it. And their story will forever be remembered as a cautionary tale of ambition, greed, and the dangerous power of well-told lie. This was the rise and the fall of Elizabeth Holmes, the woman who promised to save the world with a drop of her blood, and instead drew the blood of Silicon Valley's reputation. Thank you for watching.